Daniel Morgan seemed like the perfect neighbor, but beneath his charming smile hid a dark obsession. Emily's disappearance would unravel his twisted fantasies and reveal a brutal murder no one saw coming. Daniel Morgan was the kind of man people noticed and admired without even trying. In his quiet suburban neighborhood, he seemed to have everything one could want: a steady, well-paying job as a graphic designer, a beautiful home, and a wife who appeared devoted to him. On weekends, Daniel attended community events, smiling warmly and chatting easily with neighbors. His life looked like a perfect picture, a story many wish they could live. But appearances can be deceiving. Beneath his calm exterior, Daniel's mind was a maze of secrets. For years, he had wrestled with dark thoughts that he carefully locked away from the world. These were not just fleeting bad ideas but intense fantasies that grew stronger with time. Instead of sharing or confronting these feelings, Daniel chose isolation. Gradually, he began retreating from his once active social life. Invitations to gatherings went unanswered, phone calls unanswered, and he spent more hours alone in his home, especially in a room where no one else was allowed. His wife, Claire, noticed the change, but believed it was just stress from work or a temporary mood shift. She never imagined the extent of what was happening inside Daniel's mind. Behind closed doors, Daniel's fantasies became more vivid and all-consuming. They twisted from harmless daydreams into something dangerous: an obsession with power, control, and violence. These thoughts haunted his waking hours and invaded his dreams, blurring the lines between what he imagined and what he wanted to become real. The neighbors who once greeted him with smiles and waves now saw a different Daniel, someone who barely looked up when passing by, and who kept his curtains drawn tight. People whispered about his sudden disappearance from community events, but no one dared to ask too many questions. It was as if Daniel was building a wall, brick by brick, to keep the outside world from seeing what lurked within. As Daniel's fantasies deepened, so did his need to act on them. But how could he turn these twisted thoughts into reality without anyone suspecting? The answer lay in the shadows of his own home, where he had started creating a secret world, a place where his darkest desires could take shape, away from prying eyes. This hidden world was about to explode into reality, shaking the town to its core and revealing that behind the perfect life was a mind dangerously unhinged. Behind the locked door of Daniel's basement lay a room unlike any other in the house, a secret chamber filled with objects and images that revealed the depths of his disturbed mind. The walls were covered with disturbing sketches, each more unsettling than the last. Faces frozen in terror, scenes of violence, and shadowy figures dominated the pages pinned to the walls. The drawings were rough but detailed, showing a chilling fascination with pain and control. It was as if Daniel was trying to bring his darkest fantasies to life through these images. But the room held more than just drawings. Boxes stacked in a corner contained journals filled with disturbing stories, each describing brutal crimes in vivid detail. These weren't mere stories. They were twisted plans, outlines of acts that Daniel dreamed about carrying out. The handwriting was messy and hurried, evidence of an obsession that grew stronger every day. The journals revealed a mind slipping further and further from reality, consumed by fantasies of domination and violence. No one outside Daniel's home had any clue about this hidden world. It was his sanctuary and prison all at once, a place where he could escape the ordinary and let his darkest desires run free. His wife Claire had no idea what was happening beneath her own roof. She still believed Daniel was simply stressed or depressed, unaware that her husband was slowly spiraling towards something far worse. The town was shaken when news broke of a young woman named Emily who had gone missing. Emily was known for her bright smile and kind heart, and her disappearance sent shockwaves through the community. She was last seen near Daniel's neighborhood, and although there was no clear evidence linking him to her disappearance at first, rumors began to swirl. People whispered about the strange man who had withdrawn from the world, speculating if his secrets had finally crossed into dangerous territory. Police found themselves drawn to Daniel's house after small pieces of Emily's belongings were discovered nearby. It was enough to raise suspicions and warrant a closer look. When investigators uncovered the secret room in Daniel's basement, they realized they had stumbled onto something much darker than a simple missing persons case. The chilling collection of drawings and journals hinted that Daniel's fantasies might have already become reality and that Emily's fate was far from certain. What no one could have guessed was how far Daniel's obsession had taken him, and the brutal truth waiting just beneath the surface of his hidden world. The moment police entered Daniel's house with a search warrant, the atmosphere shifted from suspicion to horror. Investigators moved carefully through the rooms, eyes sharp for any sign of what had happened to Emily. Their attention quickly focused on the basement, where the secret room concealed a nightmare waiting to be uncovered. The chilling sketches on the walls seemed to stare back at them, as if the darkness itself had taken physical form. Blood stains on the floor and walls sent a clear message: violence had occurred here. Investigators found torn clothing that matched items Emily was known to wear the day she disappeared. The evidence painted a grim picture of a struggle, one that ended with Emily trapped in a nightmare she could not escape. But there was more. Hidden beneath loose floorboards, a notebook was discovered, filled with a meticulous plan detailing an attack step-by-step instructions written in Daniel's handwriting. The cold precision suggested this was no impulsive crime. It had been carefully thought out and executed. As the investigation deepened, officers found a concealed trapdoor leading to a small underground cellar beneath the house. The air was thick with decay and despair. Inside, signs of a violent encounter were everywhere: scattered debris, broken furniture, and more bloodstains. Yet Emily's body was nowhere to be found. The mystery grew darker. Had she escaped? Or was she hidden elsewhere, out of reach? Then came the most disturbing discovery of all: a series of video files on Daniel's computer, recordings of parts of the crime. The footage showed Daniel's cold, emotionless face as he carried out his actions. There was no remorse, no hesitation, just a man fully consumed by his twisted desires. Watching the videos, investigators realized that Daniel had crossed a line few could imagine, turning his fantasies into brutal reality and recording it as if proud of his horrific deeds. The community was stunned as news of Daniel's actions spread. The man who had seemed so ordinary was revealed to be a monster hiding in plain sight. Questions flooded the air: how could someone so close to them commit such atrocities? How many others had he harmed or planned to harm? With Emily's fate still uncertain, the investigation became a race against time. Every new clue pulled the town deeper into a web of darkness and deceit, revealing that sometimes evil wears the mask of everyday life, hiding behind locked doors and quiet neighborhoods. The line between fantasy and horror had been shattered, leaving a community desperate for answers and justice. As investigators delved deeper into Daniel's past, a troubling pattern emerged, one that extended far beyond his home and the chilling basement room. Digital forensics revealed that Daniel had been active on a secret online forum where members shared violent fantasies and encouraged one another's darkest impulses. This wasn't just a place to vent. It was a community where plans were whispered and disturbing ideas were exchanged in unsettling detail. Daniel wasn't just a participant, he was a leader, someone whose twisted creativity fueled others. His online persona was different from the man the town thought they knew. Behind the anonymity of the internet, Daniel's fantasies grew more dangerous, fueled by encouragement from like-minded individuals who blurred the boundaries between fantasy and reality. This online web revealed conversations about control, manipulation, and even detailed plans for crimes eerily similar to what was found in his journals and secret room. One of the most shocking discoveries was how Emily had been lured into Daniel's trap. She had met an online user who seemed kind and trustworthy, a false identity created by Daniel himself. This fake persona had slowly gained Emily's trust through messages and conversations, convincing her to meet in person. The cold calculation behind this manipulation revealed a new level of cruelty. It wasn't just a crime of passion or impulse. It was a premeditated act, meticulously crafted to satisfy Daniel's darkest desires. The police began unraveling the tangled web of lies Daniel had spun. His life was a dual existence, one of a seemingly ordinary man in the daylight, and one of a predator in the shadows. The online community and false identity were tools he used to live out his fantasies without immediate suspicion. But ultimately, his grip on reality slipped, and the terrible truth caught up with him. As the case developed, the question of how many others had fallen victim to Daniel's manipulation surfaced. The community grappled with the horrifying realization that evil could thrive not just in physical spaces but in digital ones as well. The boundary between fantasy and reality had been exploited, with devastating consequences. With each new revelation, the mystery surrounding Emily's fate deepened. The search continued, hope mingling with dread as the town waited for the final pieces to fall into place. Daniel's web of lies was vast, but eventually, even the darkest secrets must come to light. After weeks of intense searching and investigation, the breakthrough finally came when a specially trained search dog alerted authorities to a remote wooded area several miles from Daniel's home. The dense underbrush concealed what no one had dared to hope for: Emily's body, buried just beneath a thin layer of leaves and dirt. The discovery was grim confirmation that Daniel's twisted fantasies had ended in the most tragic way imaginable. The police meticulously gathered evidence from the scene. Though the body was hidden, forensic experts found clear signs that Emily had suffered greatly. The crime scene confirmed suspicions that Daniel's obsession had led him to commit murder, burying the evidence to hide his horrific acts. The community, already shaken by the revelations, was devastated by the final truth. Daniel was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and several other crimes. During the trial, experts testified about his psychological state, explaining how his mind had become consumed by violent fantasies that eroded the boundary between imagination and reality. Psychologists described him as someone trapped in a dangerous cycle of obsession, unable to stop before crossing the line into violence. The defense tried to argue that Daniel was mentally ill and not fully responsible for his actions. But the overwhelming evidence and chilling video recordings made it clear that the crime was carefully planned and deliberate. The jury found Daniel guilty, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. The sentence brought a measure of justice but little comfort to those left behind. The impact of Daniel's crimes extended far beyond the courtroom. Friends, family, and neighbors struggled to come to terms with the fact that someone so close had been capable of such evil. The town began to heal slowly, but the scars remained a painful reminder of how dark fantasies, when left unchecked, could destroy lives. Emily's memory lived on through the community's efforts to raise awareness about the dangers of online predators and the importance of recognizing warning signs before tragedy strikes. Her story became a cautionary tale, urging others to look beyond appearances and trust their instincts. In the end, Daniel's case served as a haunting lesson. Even the most ordinary lives can hide the darkest secrets. When twisted fantasies take root and spiral out of control, they can lead to brutal consequences, reminding us all how fragile the line is between fantasy and nightmare.